Hey guys, John here. Welcome to my markets review series where we analyze Bitcoin, the S&P 500, and gold. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you guys that this video is brought to you by and sponsored by PrimeXBT, where they offer leverage trading on all different types of assets, including the S&P 500, gold, currencies, and even Bitcoin. So go check them out, guys. And with that said, let's get started.
Okay, so first up we have Bitcoin. This is just a weekly chart. These are just regular candles. To decipher what more is going on, I'm going to go ahead and put on the master indicator. This is just simply the high time frame indicator with the arrows from the alpha trends indicator. Okay, so now we can look at the chart and figure out more so what's going on. So you can see here these white bars are simply indicating an uptrend. Whenever it goes into a downtrend, they will change to gray, and we'll see that on the daily. But for now, looking at this is a beautiful chart. We had a squeeze here. This is where volatility builds up and a breakout to the upside or downside is coming next, indicated by the light green arrows. We also had some momentum start over here. So these over here, this green momentum bar and the breakout from the volatility squeeze was what initiated this initial move. Then we had some strength here. These are strength and weakness arrows. We had a strength arrow here, and it's been in the uptrend ever since. And that's what these bars do. They keep you in the trend so you don't get shaken out. You will see here that we have some 8 and 9 numbers. These are simply just 8 and 9 counts. When you go 8 to 9 bars in an uptrend in a row, it prints. And a lot of times these can lead to strength or weakness signals, specifically on the daily. So yeah, guys, Bitcoin is looking great on the weekly. I have put some two little resistance and support lines up here. They will come more clear on the daily. So let's go ahead and switch to the daily now that we see the weekly. And again, the weekly is looking great. In fact, we've just ended with this candle here, which is a very bullish candle. You can see that we had a lot of buying pressure come and buy back up this correction that we've had. Switching to the daily, and let's just pull this out over here. You can see that the two lines that I've drawn is the all-time high line. This is the resistance. This is what we need to break in order to get our next leg up. This is what everyone is watching. And again, this is the support area. You can see that it touched once here, again over here, and again over here. And this is what we do not want to break below. Okay, so pulling out the daily and just zooming out a little bit. This is basically what's happened. You know, you see the strength arrows here pulling up the uptrend. We pull back down, got some bearish momentum, almost went into a full-blown downtrend from these downtrending bars, but we're able to, you know, buy the price back up. This was actually a wedge, right, that we broke out of, and the same thing over here, right, another wedge that we broke out to the upside. In 2017, these were like notorious, these wedges and breaking out to the upside. So after that breakout, we did have some momentum here to the upside, and that's taking us into our next leg. We had a pullback. Obviously, this is the support like I mentioned, and we're currently just trying to head back towards the all-time highs is what I see, you know, to try and do some price discovery. Now, if we go and we try to extrapolate what might happen next, let's go ahead and get some fibs. We can fib this from the swing high to the swing low. What we'll see is that the high that it made from that correction went to the 1.27 level almost, right? Just below it, okay? So what I like to do sometimes is take that then and do some more fibs, again, from the swing high on the correction again to the swing low. And you can see here that this is where the 1.27 level is. So that's going to be and is my next target. Up next is going to be probably right about here at the $63,000 level, you know, just above that 63.5 around that area. That's going to be my next target to the upside. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete these fibs. You can see a little more clear. There you go. So what you're going to see here is that, you know, again, I've kind of defined a little range here, right? And this is obviously the target to the downside that you do not want to break. But if we do find some weakness, this will be my next area of interest, and also to see how it would react off of this support level. To the upside, everybody is watching this level here, the all-time high, as that's what you should be doing in a full-blown bull market, is you watch the breaks of the highs, you watch how it reacts. If you're not in a position, that's where you think about getting into a position and setting your stop somewhere below that resistance that will likely turn to support, okay? And that yields a good risk versus reward trade. And that's what I would look for next, would be a break of the all-time highs. Now, if we go and we put on our indicators as well, you can see that we had some bearish divergence over here that kind of played out. And if we go and we take this, what I like to do actually is I like to have it on a longer term divergence. And you can do this in your settings. If you go to inputs over here, what mine normally is, and it fell off, is medium to long term, right? For you guys that have the indicators. And you can see how beautifully that actually played out. If you look at the bearish divergence there, it didn't start till this bar over here, which would have been the absolute high over here, okay? And then it fell down. So again, I like to always set my settings here on the medium to long term as far as my divergences, and played out pretty well. Then if you look at the wick thrust over here, we also had some confirmation to that bearish divergence with this red bar, and there was a cluster of red bars. This is a really big sign as either your clusters or your alternating directions. And like right here, you can see we had a big orange one to the downside, but then we had an alternating direction, and sure enough, we had one more to set the tone, and it was off to the races. And then the same thing here to the downside, right? So these confirmation indicators, this is on the confirmation suite that we have. It's actually the cheapest suite. I think it's like 19 bucks. But they work very, very well, especially with the volatility breakout suite on the top pane here. So yeah, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. This is your top side target. I do think that we are going to break all-time highs. I think that we actually reach around $63,000 next. And that's where I'll make, make another video to see what's happening after that. And also just watch for this, $54,000 level as far as your downside risk, right? That's when you should start paying attention if it does close below this area. Okay, that's it for Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ethereum. Okay, so onto Ethereum here. This is the weekly chart with the high time frame indicators. You can see that there's not much to be said here. It's pretty much following Bitcoin. You had your momentum swing over here with your green bar. Once it did break the resistance, it broke out in great fashion like normal. You had your sign of strength here to stay in the move, and it's been a white uptrend ever since. And yeah, the weekly looks beautiful. Nothing here. It's following Bitcoin, and I expect all-time highs pretty soon. Let's switch over to the daily. Okay, so here to the daily, it's pretty interesting. This is obviously is the all-time high, and we had a big rejection. In fact, let's look at how big this was. Okay, so Ethereum ended up dropping 36%, right? So a little bit more than Bitcoin, but pretty much in unison with what Bitcoin is doing. I think Bitcoin was like 30 or 34 or something like that. So Ethereum is following Bitcoin. You can see here that we did have a bottom here. A lot of times when these bottoms happen, I like to see how they react, especially if we get a momentum bar afterwards. Really good signal. So I do think that that was obviously not the very, very bottom, but this is where I look for bottoms after they've been made to confirm them. We had a red momentum bar, then the downtrend happened with the gray bars, and then, finally we went from a green momentum to back to an uptrending white bars, and this is a good sign, fellas. So same thing with this Ethereum. I think that we're following Bitcoin, following Bitcoin's lead. I've mentioned before in a lot of other videos that the lag time between, Bitcoin and Ethereum and the mid and smaller caps have shortened that lag time to where, before in 2017, they gave you a little bit of time to get ready. Let's say a couple of days, a week, not a couple of days, a week, or maybe even 2 weeks before, Ethereum reacted, or the lower caps. But we don't see that anymore. It's more tied together. I think there's more institutions involved, And, you know, as the market goes up, they kind of diversify. So not to get off topic here, I think that this is obviously our target, just like Bitcoin. I'm waiting for it to break all-time highs. I do think that Ethereum has a possibility of outperforming Bitcoin, but both are really, really good, safe plays. And when I say safe, I just mean that high probability in this macro environment. Okay, guys, so let's move on to the SPX. Oh, and before I move on to the SPX, I did want to show you guys this again on the wick thrust. Here was the only signal in a while. This red bar to the downside coincided with the very top of Ethereum. So don't sleep on these indicators, guys. They are very, very good. In fact, here you had a change of powers again, downside, flip up, another confirm up, and there we were, right? So this little $19 indicator would have saved you guys you know, a lot of trouble. So now look where we are currently. You had a green bar here that coincided with your momentum bar. This was confluence. This is exactly why we have these indicators. This would be your meal ticket to long, especially once we come out of gray bars and into the green and white bars with confirming wick thrust. Okay, so let's move on now to the S&P 500. So again, the clearest chart for the S&P 500 is again the weekly. You can see that it's played out very beautiful. This is the you know, recession with the V-shaped bottom. We had a squeeze here, breakout to the upside. Oh, and if you have the premium suites, it does have these X's, which tell you that the volatility breakout move is over. Doesn't mean that it can't have a second leg, but it does tell you that that move is over. So once that move was over, obviously we had a lot happen in the macro environment. We had that recession, had a little bottom here, green momentum bar, followed by white uptrending bars, which is exactly what you want to see. And yeah, as far as the weekly, we're looking good. We're actually closing on all-time highs as far as the close. You know, so it's looking really great, guys. And if we switch to the daily chart, you know, I've been a big proponent that the Fed is just going to keep the market going up. I was never bearish on the S&P 500. If you guys know, I've been bullish on Bitcoin and the S&P 500 pretty much for a year now. Okay, so looking at this, obviously, you know, you had your squeeze, arrow breakout to the upside, and exactly like you want to see, you know, after we had some problems here, you did see a green momentum bar followed by a white candle, and that's what you want to see, guys, what you did not see here, right? It was trying to fight, but we had some momentum. After that, we are back into an uptrend. You can see here is the resistance here on the daily chart. This is what we want to break, 3978. And I think that we'll get it, man. I think that we're just having a little bit of pullback from this nice move and this nice recovery that we've had from the correction. And I see all-time highs coming. I'm not going to do any projections on the S&P 500. It does move a lot slower than the than Bitcoin. And I mean, I guess I could. I mean, I guess we could even just do fibs, right? But with these things, you just want to kind of be long all-time high with obviously support where the previous high was. But if we had to draw fibs, you know, let's go ahead and draw one more on the previous correction and see what it did last time. So if we draw the fibs here, it looks like before we had a correction, it went up to the 1.618 level, okay? So again, if we had a look here, that target would be all the way here at basically, you know, 4,000. So that would be my next target, guys. Very, very bullish on stocks and Bitcoin still. That said, that's all I've got for the S&P 500. I am long the S&P 500. Let's take a look at gold. So here is the weekly chart of gold. You can see that, you know, we had squeeze, breakout to the upside, strength, and it stayed in an uptrend. But this is where it started to have some weakness, right? And I was okay with this pulling back. I think over here I did start to get bearish because again, this is the weekly chart. And I think around about here, I told everyone that, you know, to get out of gold, I'm done with gold until it shows me some better performance. And sure enough, we switched to a red momentum bar, almost started a downtrend here on this week, tried to pull back up, and then we fell into this channel that I've outlined here. Right? We did have a little bottom here, just like we had here. However, we were already in this channel, and as soon as we touched the upper end of the channel, we have been rejected, and it's been in a gray downtrend. And that would have told you, to stay out would be the downtrending bars. Let's switch to the daily chart. Oh, and also I wanted to point out here on this RSI divergence. Obviously you had divergence here, and here was like a sharp pullback, right? But more so than that, you can watch the orange lines as they tail under the other two lines. And this is kind of like momentum on RSI. I really love this. And the longer the orange line stays underneath the other two, the more powerful the move is to the downside. And you can see how it had a huge gap over here, right? This should have been your first sign, and that was all the way at the top here. So these really do have a lot of value, these confirmation suites. And as you can see over here, the orange line has pretty much just stayed below the other two lines and just now come up for a quick breath. But we need that breath to break above the downtrend, okay, the blue downtrend. So let's go ahead and switch to the daily chart. And this is what it looks like better on the daily chart. So you can see that we did have a bounce up of those bottoms, right? But again, you know, it was not enough, especially right here as well. It was not enough to break out of the upper channel. As far as gold goes, I do think, let me switch back to a weekly. Yeah, we are sitting at near support, right? So it did bounce off of here, which was the support from here. You can see that it touched over here, bounced back up. Once it did break through, it retested it one more time, and then was off to the races. So this is a very, very good support. I would like to see that hold. If that does not hold, your next support is all the way down here. So you got to watch out, guys, and really pay attention right here. As I said, I'm not interested in gold. I haven't been in gold for quite a while now. And I mean, it doesn't look too good until it looks good, which isn't now, right? So I wouldn't try to be picking bottoms. There's much better opportunities for you in the market. With that said, guys, I'm going to wrap up. But first, I'd like to say that this is sponsored by PrimeXBT. I do not get any money or anything off of the ref links, but they do check to make sure that I'm doing a good job. And, you know, please go ahead and use PrimeXBT. I use them, and use my ref link, guys, because it allows me to do these videos. If you like these videos, it's the only way they judge my performance. So I will click put the link down in the info. And if you could, they also offer a 50% bonus, deposit bonus. So whatever you deposit into your account, they will match half of it and put it in there for you to trade. So that's all in the info below. With that said, guys, I appreciate you joining me, and you can catch me on Discord after this. Other than that, I will catch you guys next week. Happy trading.